Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something pretty fascinating, really. It's this idea, this financial experiment. Imagine living for a whole year just on cryptocurrency, like completely cutting ties with banks, no cash, no credit cards. Think about it, waking up, deleting every single one of your banking apps, and just relying on, Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe some other digital coins. It's a pretty wild idea, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge shift.
Yeah.
And the moment you decide to do that, to cut ties with, well, normal money, everything just feels different almost immediately.
Different how? Like, what hits you first?
Well, what's really interesting from the stories we looked at is how quickly the problems pop up.
Yeah.
You go to the grocery store, they're not taking Bitcoin. Your landlord
Yeah.
probably has zero clue what a stablecoin even is.
Right.
So, yeah, the fundamental question becomes, can you actually survive like this, living on, thrive?
Well, our sources, this suggests it's definitely not easy, not a walk in the park, but it's not impossible either. It seems to force this amazing level of resourcefulness. Like one story mentioned finding a landlord on Reddit, if you can believe it.
On Reddit, really?
Yeah, someone really into the crypto scene who is totally okay taking rent in USDC. And maybe we should clarify USDC, it's a stable coin. So its value is basically pegged to the US dollar. Makes it a bit more stable for payments compared to something like Bitcoin.
Right. Less volatile day to day.
Exactly. And in this case, the person paying rent actually helped the landlord set up a basic digital wallet. So it turned into this kind of learning thing for both of them.
Yeah, that's a great example. And it goes beyond just, paying bills. This whole experiment really changes your work life too. Forget banks processing your paycheck. Your salary might come straight from smart contracts, maybe from a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization.
Okay, DAO. So for people maybe less familiar, what is that simply?
Basically, it's like a community run by code and rules everyone agrees on up front. Not your typical boss or manager structure. You're often voting on things, earning your pay without ever signing a traditional contract. It gives you this surprising amount of direct control. You're the one deciding, okay, do I save this? Do I stake it? Do I swap it for something else?
That control sounds really appealing. But you mentioned volatility earlier, and that's got to be a massive hurdle for most people thinking about this. How did the sources describe dealing with that risk? I mean, those wild price swings. Did people just kind of grit their teeth and bear it? Or were there actual strategies? You said stake or swap. What does that actually mean for someone living this way?
Yeah, good question. So staking, for instance, it's kind of like putting your crypto to work. You help secure the network, and you earn rewards for it. It's an income stream, but outside banks. And swapping lets you quickly trade one digital currency for another, maybe to dodge a price drop, or maybe you see an opportunity. So no, they weren't just passively accepting the swings. People got really agile. They used these tools actively.
Okay, so managing the risk, not just enduring it.
Exactly. And what comes through in these accounts is, despite the chaos of volatility sometimes, there's this real sense of freedom. And you start finding your tribe, other people doing the same thing, maybe digital nomads setting up shop in Portugal, or folks moving between crypto-friendly spots in Latin America, Southeast Asia. It comes less about just scraping by and more about actually building a life in this parallel digital economy.
So as this kind of experimental year wraps up for the people in these stories, what was the big takeaway? The sources seem to say the world itself didn't really change around them. The grocery store still didn't take Bitcoin overnight.
Right. Most landlords still wanted dollars or euros.
But the person who went through it, they changed completely. The main insight wasn't just, hey, it's possible to live without banks. It was more profound. It forces you to totally rethink what money even is, right?
Yeah.
You see the hidden plumbing of traditional finance, and you discover this other system that's surprisingly resilient. It feels less about avoiding banks, maybe, and more about taking back control. They know now, for a fact, they can live without a bank.
And that really leads to a powerful question, something for you listening to think about. Once you've had that taste of financial independence, once you've navigated a year without the old systems, can you ever really go back to seeing money the same way? The consistent feeling from these accounts is, once you go full crypto, you don't really go all the way back. It just fundamentally changes your relationship with money, with control. That personal shift, it seems pretty irreversible for many. Something to chew on.